Hello, this is Kent Whitfield, and today I'd like to talk to y'all about something relevant right here, right now. Now, how many of y'all have social media? Okay? Now, how many hours per day do you use social media? Okay? Now, I want you to take that number, multiply it by 7, and that's how many hours per week you use social media. Okay? Any platform. Okay? That's how many hours. For me, it's around 10 to 15. I don't use social media that much. Okay? Now, all of us, including myself, we have smartphones, okay? And what do we put on our smartphones? Platforms, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, so on, so on, so on, so on. Okay, social media platforms. Me personally, I don't have apps, okay? I don't have social media apps on my phone. That's just personally me, okay? But for you, you may have these things. Now, that's not the issue here. The issue is, how often are we on social media platforms? And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to persuade you or to give you information about how social media is damaging our brains as a result of us being on social media platforms for so long. Or simply put, wasting our time on social media, which will ultimately affect our minds and affect our health, essentially, when we get older. Okay? I want to discuss 3 points. I want to talk about the social media platforms out there and its benefits. I want to talk about the damages it can do. And I want to talk to y'all about how or what can we do, or what are some ways we can limit our social media usage. Now, according to an article written by Martin Coate from dialogue.org, 4.57 billion users of social media are in the world today. Okay, so that means that there's a good portion of them that have a smartphone, that have the app, or they go on the internet and they just go on social media and spend numerous amount of times, okay, on social media. Now, within the same article, 20% of adults, okay, they are on the internet, or they spend at least 40 hours a week on social media platforms. Okay? Now, I want to talk about those social media platforms real quick. And I'm just going to go through them, okay? Because we already know, and we already know what they do. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Okay, yeah, I said TikTok with the kids dancing around and stuff and doing random moves. Yeah. I'm going to bunch all those social media platforms into one thing because they relatively do the same thing. Some of them you can post videos, make actual posts, post, pictures of your family, your dog, your random food items, whatever the case may be. They're relatively the same. Some are less than others, but ultimately you get my drift. Okay. We take these items and we put them in one platform, we share it out to the world, or we can do whatever we want. It's a social interaction, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this leads to my second point. I'm going to transition over because I talked about a little bit about how social media can be beneficial. Okay, you can share it with your family, your friends. You can interact with people from all over the world, and you can just to see how people are doing, and just to see funny videos, and see photos and see how people are doing. But I want to talk about what happens when we spend too much time on social media. I want to get into the crux of that. There's so many articles that are posting about how social media is damaging our brains, and which leads to damaging our health overall, including the heart. Okay. And some of the symptoms of these things, including, lack of sleep. When we are on there for so long, we lose sleep. Okay, that's why there's some people that can't sleep often due to social media. Another one comes to mind is stress, anxiety. According to an article by Doolittle, okay, it states that basically your mind is so used to all the images you see on social media to the point that you get stressed out by it, and eventually it affects you mentally. You get depressed, you get stressed, you get anxiety, okay, through these posts and the things you see on these platforms, which essentially will affect your health. One being the heart, okay. I don't know the details about it, but all I know is that it starts up here and it works its way down. Because once when you're stressed up here, it works its way down and affects your heart, essentially, okay. I talked about, a few things that could happen to you if you use social media or you're on social media for a long period of time. Those are the few things, but there are so many things that I could be discussing with you at this time. But basically what I want you to understand is that social media, being on there, it can cause stress, it can cause depression, it can cause anxiety, lack of sleep, lack of attention. Your attention span is just not where it's supposed to be, according to an article by Alan Scarpa. Your attention span, you got so many things going on social media, and it's at a quick pace to the point that your brain is used to it. But then when you go in the outside world, you want things to be instantaneous, quick, boom, 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 boom. Okay? All these things that I'm talking about, as far as being on social media for an extended period of time, it ultimately affects your mind, ultimately. And it causes mental problems. Okay? That's why when you hear people say, I have this and this and this and this going on, there's a big chance that it's coming from their prolonged usage of social media. Okay? So now I'm going to transition to how we can fight those things. Okay? Or how we can, or what ways we can come up with in order to tackle this issue. Because it is an issue in America and the UK and all over the world. Okay? How can we tackle this issue? And there are many ways. Me personally, I have things that I do. I have a hobby. I work. I play sports. I do other extracurricular activities. I hang with some friends here and there. Those are the things that I do. But for you, it could be something else. It could be painting. It could be reading a book. According to the same article by Alan Scarpa, you could actually sit down and read only 3 pages in a book. 3. And you do that every day. To the point that once when you do that continuously, your mind will eventually change. And you'll go from wanting to, have instantaneous information all the time and have a less attention span to settling down and having more of an attention span. And also on that line, you can also meet with people, okay? Visit a family, visit a friend, visit somebody, or just see somebody randomly, that builds that personal connection, okay, with that particular person. When you do that, okay, you're building more of a personal connection, which ultimately gets up here. Because remember, you're always on this, and although you're clicking a button and messaging people, that's not really a personal connection. We as humans are social creatures, so we need that social interaction. Okay, if we don't get that, then things are lost in translation, or our wires gets rearranged due to this. So these are some of the few ways. But I would say the biggest option that we could probably do is make a schedule. Make a schedule, okay? Okay, let's say for example, I'm waking up, I'm ready to go to work. Make a schedule. Okay, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go to work, then I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna read a book, and and then after that I'm gonna play basketball. I'm gonna do this or paint or watch a movie or do anything outside of social media. Now, another option is you can delete the apps off of your phone. Just delete them so that you won't be tempted to go back on them. Okay? Those are some options. You create the schedule for yourself to limit your social media usage. That's what this is all about. So you can be right here and here. So you won't be depressed, so you won't have anxiety, so you won't have that less attention span. So you can actually sleep better. All these things depend on you. Now, to summarize all of this, we lessen our social media usage. We will be more healthier both in our minds and in our bodies. Okay? We all have phones, and that's understandable. And we all have apps on our phones, and that's completely understandable. And we have these platforms that we use on a daily basis, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let's limit our usage, because ultimately, if we don't, it will affect us here, and it will affect us physically, specifically our hearts. Thanks for watching.